Galactic Council War Summit, classified meeting. The greatest military minds in the galaxy sat in silence, their holographic screens flashing with new intelligence reports. The Drax Dominion, the Velthan Empire, and the Galactic Council's high command were all gathered in one place. They had come to discuss the rising threat of humanity. For centuries, humans were seen as a minor race, weak and insignificant compared to the great empires of the stars. They had no grand fleets, no vast colonies, and no influence in the council. But now, something had changed. On the massive holo-display, a single warship appeared, a human battleship. It was unlike anything the council had ever seen. It was massive, larger than any dreadnought, built with materials unknown to the council's scientists, armed with weapons that defied conventional technology. The councilors exchanged uneasy glances. "Are we certain this footage is real?" High Admiral Vorth of the Velthan Empire asked, his voice low and tense. The intelligence officer swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. This is not a simulation. This is real." A human warship had appeared, and it was a monster. Aboard the UNS Nemesis, the unveiling of power. On the edge of human space, docked at a classified shipyard, the UNS Nemesis was being prepared for its maiden voyage. It was not just a battleship. It was the first of its kind, a Dread-Class Warship designed in complete secrecy, hidden from the eyes of the Council and rival empires. Standing on the command deck, Captain Adrian Reeve watched as final checks were being completed. Engineers rushed across the metallic corridors, running last-minute diagnostics. Fighters hovered outside the docking bay, awaiting deployment. His second-in-command, Commander Sarah Holt, stepped beside him. "The Council knows," she said, her voice measured but firm. "They have seen the footage. Their spies confirmed our ship exists." Reeve smirked. "Good. Let them be afraid." For years, humanity had been seen as weak, but they had never been weak, only patient. While the Council debated policies and the great empires fought over territories, humans prepared. They studied, they built, and they waited. Now, the waiting was over. The Nemesis was proof that humanity was no longer just surviving. They were here to conquer the stars. All systems online. A technician called out from below. "Weapons are charged. Shields at full capacity. We are ready." Reeve turned to the large holo display in front of him. "Then let's begin." The ship hummed to life, its reactors pulsing with untamed energy. The hull vibrated, and deep within the warship, the most advanced weapon systems ever created by mankind prepared for deployment. Outside, in the void of space, scouts from the Galactic Council watched in horror. They had come to observe. They had no idea they had been detected. Galactic Council Scout Fleet. First contact. On board the Velthan Council recon ship, Captain Jorvek sat frozen in his seat. His crew had been tasked with monitoring human space. It was supposed to be routine surveillance. Just another check-in on a minor species that should have had no chance of developing military superiority. But now, he was watching the impossible unfold before his eyes. By the stars, one of his officers whispered, "That ship. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Jorvek's breathing was heavy. The hull plating alone looked indestructible. The shielding systems were pulsating with energy readings that didn't match any known technology. And then, the worst happened. The human warship turned towards them. It saw them. Jorvek's blood ran cold. Full retreat. Now. But it was too late. A transmission cut through their comms. A deep, commanding human voice filled the bridge. "Unknown vessel. You are trespassing in sovereign human space. Identify yourself or be eliminated." The crew looked to their captain in terror. "Sir, what do we do?" Jorvek had never feared humans before. Now, for the first time in his life, he felt the true meaning of terror. Aboard the UNS Nemesis, the power display, Captain Reeve watched the alien recon fleet hesitate. He smirked. "They're afraid." Commander Holt nodded. "Should we let them leave?" Reeve tilted his head, watching as the small alien ships desperately tried to scramble away. He knew the Council was watching through them, and he wanted them to see something they would never forget. "Charge the main cannon," he ordered. Holt hesitated for a moment. "Are we firing?" Reeve chuckled. "No, just giving them a warning." The Nemesis's main weapon, a graviton lance, began charging. An immense surge of blue energy gathered at the front of the ship, illuminating the darkness of space. The aliens panicked. Their ships veered wildly, trying to escape. And then, at the last moment, the Nemesis powered down its cannon. Reeve leaned forward, speaking directly into the open comms. "Run back to your council. Tell them what you saw. Tell them that humanity is no longer weak. Tell them that the next time they send ships into our space, we won't just warn them." A dark smile crossed his lips. "We'll fire." The alien ships jumped to hyperspace, retreating as fast as their engines would allow. Reeve turned to his crew. And that was just the beginning. Galactic Council High Command. The aftermath. When the alien scouts returned, the Galactic Council chambers erupted into chaos. The footage of the human warship was played over and over again. The great empires of the galaxy, once so sure of their superiority, now faced an undeniable truth. Humanity had built something beyond their imagination. Humanity was no longer afraid. And now, it was the rest of the galaxy that needed to fear. Galactic Council High Command. Panic in the halls of power. The holographic display flickered in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, replaying the terrifying footage over and over again. A colossal warship, built by humans, dwarfing anything the Council fleets had ever deployed. Its weapons charged with an unknown energy, its armor plating immune to known scans, and its message clear: humanity was no longer weak. Councillor Xera, one of the most influential diplomats of the Council, stood motionless, her golden reptilian eyes locked on the final moment of the recording. The human captain's voice echoed in the chamber. "Run back to your council. Tell them what you saw. Tell them that humanity is no longer weak. Tell them that the next time they send ships into our space, we won't just warn them. We'll fire." Silence. Then chaos erupted. Ambassadors from multiple empires shouted over one another, their voices filled with a mixture of fear, outrage, and disbelief. "This must be a trick. There is no way humans could build something like this. How did we not detect this? How did they hide this from us? If they have one, they have more." Xera turned to her military advisor, Admiral Varish, a battle-hardened warrior from the Zorvan Dominion. His clawed fingers rested uneasily on the table as he processed what they had just witnessed. "Admiral," Xera said slowly, "how do we fight this?" Varish hesitated. Then, in a voice lower than a whisper, he spoke the words none of them wanted to hear. "We can't. Aboard the UNS Nemesis, the warship awakens." The UNS Nemesis drifted through the void, its engines humming with untapped power. Captain Adrian Reeve sat in his command chair, his fingers steepled together, watching the Galactic Council's reaction unfold on a secure intelligence feed. The Council was terrified, and that was exactly what he wanted. Commander Sarah Holt, his second-in-command, approached. "We've received new intelligence, Captain. The Council is in disarray. Some factions want war, others want negotiations. They're split." Reeve smirked. "Good. That means they're afraid. And when people are afraid, they make mistakes." Holt crossed her arms. "But if they do decide to fight, are we ready?" Reeve leaned back, staring at the massive holomap of the galaxy in front of them. The Council still outnumbered the humans. Their fleets were larger, older, and more experienced. But that was before. Before the Nemesis was built, before humanity stopped hiding, before they learned how to win. He looked at Holt and smiled. "If they come for us, Commander, they won't be fighting a war." He turned to the control panel and pressed a button. The ship's AI system came online, its deep robotic voice resonating across the bridge. Nemesis, online. All weapons primed. Stealth systems operational. Graviton lance at full charge. Reeve's smile widened. If they come for us, they'll be fighting for their survival. Galactic Council War Council. The vote for war. The Galactic Council's inner chamber was locked down, its doors sealed, preventing any information leaks. The situation was too dangerous. If the news of this human warship spread uncontrolled, entire civilizations would panic. Exira stood at the center, watching the highest-ranking military and political leaders of the galaxy engage in a heated debate. "We have two choices," she announced, her voice carrying across the room. "We can open a dialogue with the humans, or we can move to eliminate them before it's too late." A low growl rumbled from the far side of the room. Lord Rikav, Supreme Commander of the Drax Dominion, stepped forward. His massive armored frame cast a shadow over the other counselors. His red eyes glowed with anger. "You speak of negotiations with Deathworlders. With humans." He spat the words like venom. "They are a threat. They must be destroyed before their kind rises further." Another counselor, Ambassador Thelen, a representative of the once powerful Korathi Empire, shook his head. "And what if we fail? If we attack and lose, we will only make them stronger. We need more information." Zara took a deep breath. "Then we must decide, war or diplomacy. We will vote." The chamber grew silent. Then the votes were cast, and the decision was made. Aboard the UNS Nemesis, the first move, a new transmission came through. The Galactic Council had responded. Reeve and Holt stood side by side, staring at the message. It was not a declaration of war. It was an invitation. The Galactic Council had requested a diplomatic summit. Holt raised an eyebrow. "They want to talk." Reeve chuckled. "They want to know how much they should fear us." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Reeve made his decision. "We accept." But in the shadows of deep space, he knew one truth. This meeting was not about peace. It was about power. And humanity had the upper hand. Aboard the UNS Nemesis, the path to diplomacy, or war. The Nemesis drifted through space, its hull gleaming like a silent predator, waiting for the next move. Captain Adrian Reeve stood on the bridge, arms crossed, watching the coordinates of the Galactic Council summit appear on the screen. The Council had requested a meeting, but Reeve wasn't fooled. "It's a test," Commander Sarah Holt said beside him. "They're scared. They don't know if we're here for war or peace." Reeve gave a small smirk. "Good. Let's keep them guessing." With a nod, he turned to the navigation officer. "Engage the hyperdrive. Let's give them a show." The Nemesis vanished into the void. The Galactic Council summit. First contact with the Nemesis. The Galactic Council's war chamber was the most secure place in the universe. Here, the greatest leaders of the known galaxy gathered to decide the fate of empires. Counselor Xira, the head diplomat, stood at the center, her golden reptilian eyes scanning the room. Tension hung like a blade over every delegate present. The doors slid open, and humanity arrived. Captain Reeve walked in alone, his steps calm, his gaze unreadable. He wore no armor, carried no weapons, and yet every alien in the room felt the presence of war entering with him. Behind him, the massive holo display flickered to life, showing the Nemesis hovering above the Council's station. It was a shadow of steel, larger than anything in their fleets, with weapons primed and ready. The message was clear. If the meeting was a trap, the Nemesis would reduce this place to dust before its captain ever fell. Silence. Then, Supreme Commander Rakav of the Drax Dominion slammed his fist on the table. "This meeting is pointless," he roared. "Why do we sit here and talk when this Deathworlder flaunts his warship over us like a blade to our throats?" Reeve's eyes didn't flinch, because it is a blade to your throat. The room froze. Xira inhaled sharply. "Captain Reeve, we called you here to discuss the situation regarding humanity's new military capabilities. You have changed the balance of power. Reeve nodded. Yes, we have. Xera's eyes narrowed. And what is humanity's intention? Reeve's smirk faded. His voice dropped, serious and final. We will not be ruled. We will not be conquered. We will not be ignored. Humanity is here to stay. Some counselors exchanged glances, weighing their options. Rakov growled, slamming his fists again. We should strike now. Crush their ship before they spread like a disease. Reeve slowly turned toward him. You can try. Rakov's rage burned, but Xera raised a hand, stopping him. She leaned forward. Then tell us, Captain Reeve, does humanity seek war or peace? Reeve exhaled. His next words would decide the fate of an entire galaxy. Above the Galactic Council station, the Nemesis awakens. As the Council debated, high above them, in the cold void of space, the Nemesis detected movement. A fleet was approaching. Unmarked, hidden in the darkness. Commander Holt immediately noticed the readings. Captain, we've got a problem. She tapped into the emergency comms, her voice reaching Reeve in the war chamber. Multiple ships inbound. They're cloaked, but we can see the distortions. It's a trap. Reeve didn't flinch. He turned back to the Council. I came here in good faith. His voice was steady, controlled. But you just made a mistake. Xera's eyes widened. What are you talking about? Reeve stepped back, pressing a button on his wrist comm. A holographic display appeared in the center of the war chamber, showing the invisible fleet closing in on the Nemesis. The counselors gasped. That's not our fleet. Xera snapped, looking toward Rakov. But the Drax Supreme Commander just smirked. It is now. In orbit, the hidden Drax assault fleet decloaked and opened fire on the Nemesis. The battle of the Council begins. The first volley of plasma fire streaked toward the Nemesis, aimed for a kill shot. The Council watched in horror. But then, the Nemesis shifted, its shield arrays flaring with blinding blue energy, absorbing the hits like raindrops on steel. On the bridge, Holt smirked. Predictable. She tapped a command. Fire. The Nemesis retaliated instantly, launching hyper-accelerated railgun rounds. Each shot ripped through the Drax ships like paper, explosions blooming in the void. The Council chamber shook as shockwaves from the battle above reached them. Rakov's smug expression vanished. Impossible. Reeve's voice cut through the chamber like ice. You just fired the first shot of a war you cannot win. A war declared. But by whom? Xera stood quickly, her expression furious. The Galactic Council did not approve this attack. She barked at Rakov. You've acted alone. Rakov growled, his claws clenching the table. And I would do it again. The Deathworlders must be. Suddenly, half of the Council stood against him. Some agreed with the Drax. But many now saw humanity as their best hope against Drax aggression. Xera turned to Reeve. Captain, humanity has just proven it is more than a minor species. I cannot stop what is coming, but I can offer this. She extended her hand. An alliance. Reeve looked at her for a long moment. Then he shook her hand. The galaxy had changed forever. Epilogue. The new galactic order. The Drax Dominion had fallen into disarray. The Galactic Council had fractured, and humanity had risen. The Nemesis returned to human space victorious, carrying not only new allies, but also a new purpose. A transmission was sent across the galaxy from the captain himself. To those who would call us enemies, we will not kneel. To those who would call us allies, we will stand together. To those who seek war with humanity, we are ready.